want to keep our guests waiting. But our guest for tonight, we welcome a multi-instrumentalist, bassist, writer, and producer. This guy's Louisiana raised, Nashville based. He's a Nashville based musician whose work you've almost certainly heard, whether you realize it or not. He grew up in Monroe also, studied music at the University of Louisiana, or actually he studied at NLU to be more clear. And he became one of those rare first call players who can walk into any session and make everything tighter. For more than a decade, he's toured as bassist for Luke Bryan, helping power one of the biggest live shows in country music. Along the way, he's worked with an impressive range of artists across all genres like Tracy Byrd, Steve Wariner, Aldean, Rodney Crowell, Vince Gill. The list goes on and on. He's appeared on TV stages, The Tonight Show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Fallon, Ellen, Today Show, all the places. And these days he's working behind the soundboard, doing his own thing at his studio on the Ridge just outside of Nashville. Let's welcome our guest tonight, James Cap'n Cook. What's up, brother? Uh-oh. I can't hear you. No, we're having all kinds of difficulties. Can you hear me? You might have to get out of the studio and come back in if you don't mind. That little button at the bottom. All right, guys. Christian Lance watching from Gonzales tonight. If any of you guys out there in the comments, make sure to chime in and have a little fun with us tonight. Can't wait to hear what's going on with James. He's about to enter back in. This usually fixes the technical difficulties. Let's see if he. Oh my goodness, I still can't hear him. I still can't hear James. That always fixes it. Let me try it, James. Let me try it, and I'll be right back.
Hang on. Try this.
There we go.
Yeah. All right.
There we go. All right. Look, man, this is like being on a big tour, man. You never know when technical difficulties are going to happen.
Yeah, it's a good, funny story. Like we were playing a concert. We were in some amphitheater somewhere. I can't remember. Might have been. I think it was in Alabama, in Birmingham. There's an amphitheater there. The whatever mountain, Oak Mountain or whatever it's called. So, we were just sitting there about to go on stage. We actually were on stage. And this is with Luke Bryan. And then just PA went out. Like, boom, something happened. Turns out Luke had his two boys there. His son tripped over literally the power cable that plugged in. Whatever it was that just made it work. I mean, it was like silliness. It's like you had.
It's funny how you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, you have this huge production, and something as silly as just tripping over a cable, can shut it all down, or just it's kind of like my favorite thing. Anytime something like that happens, I always quote Sling Blade. Ain't got any gas in it. Right.
I'm always looking at that one chord at those shows, and I'm like, if that one chord goes, this whole thing's going to shut down. Well, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us tonight, man. Absolutely. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. I had to throw in. I had on your intro earlier. I had ULM, and then I had to change it to NLU after our conversation before. So,
I know.
Before we get started, man, I want to know where the name Cap'n. I see James Cap'n Cook. Where does that come from? I see it all over the internet.
Yeah, just there's a famous explorer. His name was Captain James Cook, and his claim to fame, he was a British English explorer, and he discovered Hawaii and a lot of like Alaska and some of the islands out there in the Pacific. So if you've ever been to Australia, there's a lot of Captain James Cook stuff out there. There's a James Cook University. There's all that stuff. And Alaska has a lot of homage to him. So, as with nicknames, like you don't give yourself your own nickname, right? So I did not give myself that nickname. I was given that nickname, by some close friends. So yeah, a lot of people just call me Captain. So I kind of respond to whatever. But yeah, that's where that came from.
As far as nicknames go, you got off pretty lucky there, man. I got some that are way worse than that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have other nicknames too, which we won't say, but you know, if you know, right?
That's right. That's right. We got Ryan here in the comments, man. I'm looking down, and he said, "What up, James?" Is that Brashear? Is that how you say that last name there?
It's Ryan Brashear. Yeah. Yeah.
Brashear. What's up, Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan. Love Ryan. He's one of my best friends. That guy's very talented. He's from Kentucky, so that we don't hold that against him. So,
yeah, man. Before we dive into music, man, I always like to give everybody an opportunity. Tell us a little bit about just you yourself and your family and everything.
Sure, man. Glad
you are as a person, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's all about my family for sure. I have a lovely wife. Her name's Hannah. And she and I have been together since high school. So I met her. It was my 10th grade year, my sophomore year of high school. She was junior, and she was the new girl to town. And she came from South Louisiana, so she was like true blue South Louisiana girl. So I met her. We were both in band, and there she was. I'm like, oh, who's that? So that's testament. We've been together since high school. So that's been a long time. That's 1989, and yeah, she's stuck with me the whole time, and I guess she knew what she was getting into, so to speak, right? And she's still around, but yeah, she's my best friend. She's my wife, and I wouldn't be, a lot of what I've done and somewhat, I guess, accomplished, if you'd say, is because of her being behind me and holding me up and pushing me, because she definitely has a lot more push than I do. I'm kind of like, I'll kind of sit back and watch. She's like, get up there, do that, talk to him. But she's awesome. And then I have two boys. I have a son, Aiden. He's a senior in college. He's going on his well, he'll be a 4.5 year senior, I suppose. Not a senior, but he'll graduate next fall anyway. And then I have another son. His name is Sam Cooke, like the singer Sam Cooke.
Yeah,
he's a senior in high school. So yeah, I got a great family. Got good kids and good wife. And yeah, I've been in Nashville since we moved up here right at 2001, beginning of 2001, January. And yeah, man, it's been an awesome time being here. I've got to see a lot of cool stuff, do a lot of cool stuff, meet a lot of really interesting people. And I'm just blessed to have, the career that I have and I am continuing to have. And, everyone likes to ask, questions about what do you do, this, do that, do this, do that, how you get to where you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And, everything is about meeting people and making connections. Because you can't do it by yourself, right? And we all need support. Everyone needs support. You got the support from the good Lord above, and then you have to have your support from people around you. And I'm very grateful for that. I've had a lot of good people that have helped me along the way, and that's kind of my goal now. Is I just want to be able to help other people, because.
Well, I'm guessing that H Cook 615.
Yeah. She making
she says he is lucky. LOL.
I am.
Oh goodness. And then Karen says hello everyone, and Bubba Ploche says the old broken spoke was still around then.
The broken spoke. That's right, it was. Yeah.
Well, man, let's talk about a little bit about growing up in the Monroe area. We're gonna get to music and stuff, but since we're Louisiana, let's reminisce a little bit and give you a chance to talk about growing up there and all of that.
Yeah, man, I grew up in Monroe, and I was just your typical, kid down there. Love to go out and ride bikes and hunt and fish. I was a big outdoorsman, still am, and loved to duck hunt. And my daddy took me fishing, and he was a big inspiration for me musically. He was an amateur guitar player. He just would like to strum his guitar, and along with the Statler brothers, and CCR, stuff like that. And he was a big music lover, as was my mother, but no one in the family were professional musicians. No one really played and did anything other than just kind of strum a little bit. So as far as where I got it from, I guess God gave it to me, because once I discovered music, I just never looked back. And I was one of those kids that, I got my guitar and I started playing, and I would sit there for hours just learning stuff and listening to music. Of course I played video games and stuff, but I was definitely more into playing guitar and things like that. So I had the bug, and it wasn't going anywhere. It was pushing me. I remember too. So my cousin, Scott Beeman, great man. He would take me duck hunting when I was a kid. I think I was in middle school or junior high. We called it junior high back home. And my dad loved duck hunting, but he was busy working at his job and stuff. So he kind of got out of hunting by the time I grew up, and able to do it. And of course we went squirrel hunting and stuff like that. But my cousin Scott took me duck hunting. And man, as soon as he did that, I was like absolutely hooked. It's a part of me. I love that whole culture. I love the camaraderie. I love, just getting out there and, being in a duck blind with other guys and gals or whatever. And so, yeah, I was a big time outdoorsman. And then, went to school. I was a horn guy in band. I went and played saxophone and stuff like that. I was a drum major in college. I was a band nerd, right? Or in high school, and still am a band nerd basically. So I know I'm probably digressing. It's the ADHD kicking in, but I'm just nothing crazy, man. I just had a normal upbringing, and I remember, and I mentioned duck hunting for some reason, because I remember listening to the radio with my cousin Scott. He would always have it on the country station. I think it was KXKZ or whatever. And we would be driving to the duck blind early in the morning. And for some reason, I knew that I wanted to like make records. I don't know I don't know where it came from, but I was like, I just love that whole vibe. And I just fell in love with that music, and I love all kinds of music, not just country music. I played R&B bands and rock bands. Yeah, anything, man. I went through all kinds of iterations of different styles of music, and I loved everything that I did. But for some reason that resonated with me, and I just, back then at that young of an age, I was like, man, I want to be on the radio. That's what I was telling myself. I want to be on the radio. Now, I didn't really want to be like an artist. I didn't care to be the singer or nothing, but I just wanted to be a part of the group. So I'm a typical band guy. Like, I love the camaraderie of the band. I love the support. I love being the person on stage supporting the singer and the artist. And it's just been something that I've always wanted to do since I was that young. I guess, 13, 14 years old. And, Nashville was in the back of my mind. I didn't know a whole lot about it. I just knew the music came from Nashville. So I guess fast forward, going through high school, and I got into a band with my buddies. My first band that I was in was called Slick Relief. Did you see that anywhere? I don't know if you.
I saw that is this before or after college?
This is before college. So this is
okay. Because I wanted to hit what you did at college too. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is my 10th and 11th grade year. I was 10th grade year. I got in a band with my buddy, went to school with me at Washita High School, Chris French, and his cousin was Derek Mixon. He played drums, and Derek is he's a killer guy, amazing human being. But he's if you don't know who he is, he's the drummer for Chris Stapleton. He's been with Chris for a long time, since the Traveler record came out. And Derek and I have quite quite a history. We've been in so many different bands together, and we had, a band with a record deal. We had a band here called the Levies. Anyway, just a lot.
Saw that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were in that band. Our first gig was a telethon. Was the Cerebral Palsy telethon. We had no business being on TV whatsoever, but we did, and it's quite awful. And what the crazy thing is, I have the VHS tape of that show. I've got it in my archives, and
wow,
I haven't watched it in years, but for some reason I have the very first gig I ever did. Well, I guess the first gig I ever did, but with that band, it was the first gig, and to have it documented is pretty scary.
Dude, that's hilarious, man, because people there were probably like, these kids suck. They didn't know that two of the guys were going to go on like the two of the world's biggest tours in the future.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like you never know.
Did you feel like y'all were pretty good then, or were you still figuring it out?
Oh, we were definitely still figuring it out, but we thought we were like, the better of the bunch, so to speak, in our minds, right? Yeah. Like, oh yeah, we got this. We followed people that we looked up to that were playing around. Mike McKenzie's been playing in North Louisiana for a long time, and Mike is he's an awesome musician, awesome singer, awesome human being. And yeah, I'll say it now. I mean, like, if he doesn't know it, I would love him to know that. Then he was a big inspiration on me growing up. Watching him play, man, he was like one of the best. And we just kind of wanted to do like what he was doing, and we like would go and watch him play, and we'd pick his songs, like, oh, we'll put that in our set. Yeah, let's do that. And yeah, it was a lot of emulating our heroes, back in the day.
That's awesome, man. I know he appreciates that. We'll make a little clip of that and put it out on our reels and try to get it out. So I saw, it's funny you made the band nerd joke, because I was like, I better not make the band nerd joke. But I saw something that stood out to me was whenever you went to NLU, it says that you had a degree. You focused on saxophone while also learning bass, guitar, and percussion. And I was like, man, that's a pretty wide group of instruments, from woodwind to percussion or whatever. So you play, do you still play a lot of different instruments?
Yeah, I still do. Yeah. I guess I was conflicted, because I loved all those instruments. And at one point in time, I was a pretty decent drummer. At least I thought I was. And I was playing a lot of drums. In high school, in college, I was in the fraternity Kappa Kappa Psi. So that's the band fraternity. And part of the gig was, we would play. There was a school there in Monroe area called River Oaks. It was a private school, and they didn't have a band. So they basically paid the fraternity to go and be their pep band for the football games. So, and I was the drummer. I brought my drum kit, and I played drums while, we did everything else. It was kind of fun. I mean, I thought it probably pretty awful, but I thought it was good at the time, But yeah, I still play all these instruments, and I still play saxophone and clarinet, stuff like that. Every now and then somebody will call me up to play on a song or make some horn parts and stuff. So yeah, I mean, now as a producer, which I do a lot of production work, and if there's somebody that needs horn stuff, I mean, I can compose it and put it together. And I know my limits. I'm not sitting there trying to do these crazy solos. I'm not like the big crazy solo guy, but I can arrange things and make parts, and yeah, I still do it. So it's not as common as the guitar and bass, obviously, but it's definitely a good tool. And I back in school, I was going into education initially, so to be like a band director, right? So part of me was like, I want to learn every instrument. I want to be able to know everything about the instruments, because that's part of your training. You need to know that. You don't have to be great and proficient at all of them, but you at least need to know how they function, what they do, the parts. But some of them I really loved. I actually played horn, like a baritone horn in college. I marched 2 years, playing the baritone horn. I make the silly symbol, but that was fun. Yeah. So my goal in college was to play different instruments every year, was to actually be on the marching band or the pep band or the jazz ensemble and play different instruments. And, I just thought it would be enriching to me as a player, as a person. And along the way, bass has always been like the thing that when I grabbed the bass, and the first time I did grab the bass was in church. I played at the Baptist church, Rolling Road Baptist Church. And I went in there and they were, making a little band together. And I was a guitar player. And they said, well, we have a guitar player, but, we need a bass player. Can you play bass? I said, sure. So that's where I learned to play bass, was at church. And I had a really good teacher. She was the piano player. And she had this really good honky tonk style. She had that left hand, she could do the Floyd Kramer thing. She could do the Pig Robbins. But man, she took me under her wing, and I didn't realize what she was doing at the time. I just thought she was helping me, but she was really molding me. She was showing me stuff, and like, she would try this, like, check this out, do this. And I didn't know, I just did it. And man, it just connected with me. And I just, from that day or those days, after that, I just felt like, yeah, man, the bass is kind of like my thing. I feel really confident, not that I didn't own the guitar and stuff, but I really took to the bass, and I just felt like, yeah, man, this is my jam. This is, I can do this. Yeah, man, come on, give it to me. Let's do it. So
was there a certain moment that you were like, I think I want to do this? Like I want to be a musician, like not a band director, but I think I want to play music. Like,
yeah, that was definitely in college. And it sounds silly, or it sounds bad, but I worked at a local music store for 10 years. And they, the band directors would come in there all the time. And I held several different positions at that music store. I started out as like the janitor in high school. I would go in there and clean everything, and just, menial little jobs. And then I kind of worked my way, and I'd do a little help with sales. I'd do this, do that. I'd move pianos, make deliveries, do whatever, and I eventually, would do some sales, and I started selling, band instruments and stuff like that. And then I got into the repair work. So I started repairing band instruments. The man that was doing it was retiring. And that's a craft that no one thinks about a band instrument repairman, right? You don't think about it. Who's gonna fix the saxophone? Who's gonna fix the clarinet? Who's gonna fix the dents in the tuba after the marching band? But that's what I learned to do, and man, I loved it. I was pretty good at it, And the cool thing was, I started doing that. I went to the store, and I'd go in the back there in the shop, and I didn't have to be around the people out front, which, I'm a people person. It's not like I didn't want to be, but I was kind of working my own, hours and doing my own thing. So at that point, the band directors always would come in there and hang out and drink coffee. And I just got to, there was a lot of good people there. And there was a lot of people, just like anything in life, you got some good apples, bad apples, or whatever. But I'm not saying there was bad apples, but I was seeing there was this mentality of, I could see frustrated musicians. I saw people that said, man, I really wanted to play music, but I'm just going to be a teacher instead, kind of thing. That's kind of what I got out of it. And I'm like, no, man, I'm going to play. I want to do stuff. I'm going to play music. I'm not going to sit there and settle. It's almost like they had the mentality of, I'm settling for, since I'm not playing, I'm going to just settle for being a teacher. Not everybody was. I'm not trying to get that vibe, but yeah. I just said, man, you can always teach, no matter what. I love teaching, but man, I want to go out there and play. What would it be like to go and tour and be on the road and play in front of audiences and stuff? And I had a taste of that when I got into local bands playing around town, right? So once you play on stage and you have people out there dancing to your music, you're like, oh, that's, when you get hooked, right? When you have people that are like, play me, and they're dancing to your music. And it's something that it's almost like it's a drug, really. gives you that high of, oh man, people are digging what I'm doing. And, so that's when I decided, yeah, I'm going to pursue this as a career. And one of the big factors in college was I went to an NLU, and my initial major was going to be nursing, because they had a really good nursing school at NLU. And my dad, he's like, so why are you taking nursing? I said, well, man, it's a good career. I mean, you make a good living and all that. And I just thought that's what you're supposed to do. And my dad said, I thought you wanted to play music. And I said, I do. He goes, well, play music. And it just went. My dad gave me permission. I didn't even realize it. Like he expected me to do it. And I just took it upon myself to think that, oh, I need to do this safe thing. Right. So that's when it just clicked. And I said, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing music. And I haven't looked back since, man. I didn't go to school to have like something to fall back on, which I understand a lot of people do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I never once said, I'm going to fail at this. It's like, no, I'm going to play music. I'm going to make a career out of it because that's what I'm here to do. And I think the good Lord, gave me the talent to do this, and I might as well do it. And I'm still doing it. And I think I made the right decision. I feel like I did. And
I think it's safe to say you made a good decision. I think we can say that now.
No, I did. Maybe so. I guess we all have our times when we're going, man, what am I doing? But yeah, I have no regrets at all. When it comes to making that decision, that's for sure. So that was when it clicked.
I'm gonna get into the Nashville stuff here in just a minute, but I love, since we are Louisiana based, I love to just give people a chance to talk about growing up and talk about Louisiana a little bit, because most interviews you do, they probably talk about music. So I like to do a little something different. But
Sure.
Before we get into the Nashville stuff, I did want to ask a second ago is what do you think takes a good bass player and makes them a great bass player? Because we got a lot of musicians out there that'll watch this over the next few weeks, and I always like to ask questions from the pros.
Sure. Well, I guess everyone when they're growing up, they want to be the best they can be, and they want to be able to shine. And what can I do? Oh yeah, I can play these licks, I can do all this, blah blah blah, whatever. Everybody kind of, they want to be like Eddie Van Halen, as a guitar player. They want to be able to do all that. But what I learned, and pretty much this is the gospel basically. It's not about what you can do, it's just about what can you give. And it's when you're say you're in a band situation where you're backing an artist like Tracy Byrd, Steve Wariner, and Luke Bryan, that I've had the honor and pleasure to get to do. They didn't hire me because I could play all these licks and do all this stuff. They don't care. They're there to sing their songs and entertain. What they want is they want you to be back there and support them and be there for them. So it's all about the song. It's all about being there for somebody. It's not about you, not me being me. It's like people are there. Yeah, they want to be entertained. But the biggest thing that I can tell people is you're up there to support who you're playing for. And the song is the most important thing, no matter what you do. I don't care what capacity you're in. If you're in the studio, if you're on stage, whatever you're doing, it's all about the song and who is presenting the song. So you need to get out of the way and make sure you're doing the best thing you can to support that song and the person singing the song. And that's number one. That's it.
Yeah. I love it, man. That's awesome. I always like, and that's why I said we're going to get into the Nashville stuff and the music, but I think these shows are a great opportunity there's so many up and comers in Louisiana, and they need to hear from you guys, the guys who have been out and done it. I think it's important for you guys to share that wisdom. And speaking of, right here in the comments, I see our buddy Jim McCormick. He says, James, my man.
Love Jim. Oh man, talk about that guy's awesome. Hey Jim. That's a songwriting fool right there, man.
He is, man. We had him on the show a few weeks ago, and he's just another one of there's so much talent from Louisiana, man, and that's why we love this project, because just sharing like little things like this with Louisiana, so they understand. They start understanding, like, oh crap, I didn't realize there is this much talent. But well, man, let's dive in. Let's talk about your journey to Nashville and your kind of your leap of faith and going there and all that. And how did all that go? How'd you get from Monroe, Louisiana to Music City?
So I went. It's a pretty interesting story, I think, because I always, in the back of my mind, like I was telling you, when I was duck hunting with my cousin way back before I knew anything about anything, I was like, I'd love to go to Nashville. So fast forward, back going through high school and going through college, my goal was to come to Nashville, and I wasn't 100% sure if where that would go and how it would lead, but eventually I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to like a bigger place. I knew that Monroe was not my final destination, so to speak. So I'm like, yeah, eventually I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go somewhere where I have bigger, opportunities and stuff. And so back in 1990, I guess it was 99. Oh yeah, it was 99 for sure. I went to this bass camp put on by an incredible person and one of the best bass players everyone may know, Victor Wooten. Victor Wooten is, he's regarded as one of the top guys in the whole world as a bass player, right? And he was putting on this camp. It's called a bass nature camp. And it was kind of one of those things where he wanted people to come and of course it's about bass, it's about music, it's about, learning not just the bass, but learning a lot about music in general, right? But it also had the nature element to it. And like I was saying before, I'm a big outdoors guy. I love camping and I love, the outdoors. And so that was a big component of his camp. And I went to a NAMM show, which if you don't know what NAMM is, the NAMM show is basically a huge trade show. It's NAMM. It's the National Association of Music Merchants. And I was working at that music store prior to, this whole time. And I was privy to what NAMM was. It was like I said, it's a big trade show where it's held in Anaheim, California, outside of LA. And in fact, I'm actually going there tomorrow. They have a trade show this weekend. So I'm leaving to go to the one out there. And anyway, it's basically anybody that makes anything to do with music, where instruments, basically instruments, recording equipment, microphones, just all the above, band instruments, just anything you could think music, it's there. And it is huge. I mean, it's the whole Civic Center is there's just huge buildings full of just music, everything. So I went there this one year, and I guess I went, it was 98 when I went, or actually it was early 99. It was January 99. I went out there and I was, watching people play and, just getting wowed by everybody's talent and stuff. I mean, it's everything from rock and roll to country to jazz to anything you can think of. It's just out there. So I was watching, I think I was in this booth where it was the, it was a bass amp company. And there was a guy there, his name is Adam Nitty. He's a bass player. He lives here in Nashville now. He's from Atlanta originally. Fantastic bass player, man. He's played with Michael W. Smith and a bunch of different people. But I had met him at that NAMM show, watching him play. I was just this curious kid walking around, just gawking at everything, and just got to talking with him. And he said something about this bass camp that Victor was putting on, and he's like, man, you should go to this camp, and I can call up his wife or send him a message and see if you can get in. So that's kind of how it started. So needless to say, I did get to go to the camp. So I went there in October of 1999. I went to this camp. It was at Montgomery Bell State Park here outside of Nashville. It's in Burns, Tennessee, which is not far from where I am. I'm in Pegram, which is west side of town. I went there and you could camp out. It's basically camping out, in the woods, and you'd go eat and have classes and do these nature walks. And it was all kinds of fun stuff. But when I went to that camp, it was like a really spiritual experience for me. I'm not saying like, a religious experience, but it was a very spiritual experience because I got to connect with people, and I learned to look at music in a different way that I'd never seen before. Because when you're from a small town or a small area, you're in this bubble, right? And when you get out of that bubble, you start to see the world as a lot bigger place. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the world won't get outside of that bubble. They just live in their own little area in their comfort zone, and they just kind of think that this is the way life is. And oh, I don't know what they're doing over there, but I wasn't that kind of person. I wanted to be able to experience life and experience what's out there. And when I went to this camp, it was a very enlightening experience. So basically, by going to this camp, it just made me go, wow, I want to do this. And from then on out, I was just like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to go, and I'm ready to move. I'm ready to get out of Monroe and head to Nashville, right? So I went home and talked to Hannah, my wife, and I said, hey, we need to move to Nashville. It's time. It's time to go. She's like, all right, let's go. And she's like, okay. I didn't have to convince her or poke her or anything, that she was like, I'm ready to go. Let's go. Get me out of this town. Let's go. And man, and that was the start. And so I moved to Nashville, and I've always been a very positive person, and knowing that things work out, and I wasn't worried about stuff. And I just like, yeah, I'm just going to move to town, and I'm going to meet folks like you're supposed to do and network and go. I was looking at the time, we didn't have the online resources that we have now, right? So the Nashville scene was the thing to go and find out what was happening. So I'd grab the scene and look in the back and see where the jams were, see who was playing where, and I would just go to those places. And when I was meeting people, I would find out, well, Tuesday nights you need to go over here, and Monday nights they have a really cool jam here. And in the meantime, I was going downtown. So I just moved to towns we moved January 1st of 2001. We moved here, and I mean, I hit it running, man. And went downtown, and I'd see what people were playing, and I'd go and write down the songs, and then go and find the songs and start learning all the stuff that I didn't know. I mean, I knew country music. I mean, I grew up listening to it, so it wasn't like I'm not, unfamiliar with it whatsoever. But there were certain songs and set lists and things like that I didn't know, and you just have to kind of learn along the way, right? And going to see musicians on Broadway, they had their arrangements, and they had the things, the way they do these songs, the Broadway, right? It's like, it may not be the right way, but it's the Broadway. So yeah, man, I was just like anybody else that moves to town. I was just checking it out, and the difference then than it is now is there wasn't that many bars. I mean, there was a handful of bars, right? You had Printer's Alley, and you had Legends, and you had the Stage was the place too, and Second Fiddle was still there, and Tootsie's, of course. But yeah, there's nothing like it is now. It's crazy. But yeah, man, I just did that whole thing like most people do when they move to town, and I just met as many people as I could and played as many gigs as I could, and a lot of really terrible gigs, and some were great. Played free, did whatever I needed to do to get out there, and yeah, it was one of those cool experiences. The first audition that I did, I answered this ad in the scene, and I went and auditioned, and I guess played like 2 or 3 songs. And the guy was like, yeah, man, you got the gig. That's be awesome. And I'm thinking, oh, cool, I got a gig. This is cool. He's like, yeah, we got a gig. We're going to be in North Dakota for 2 weeks at this casino, and I'm like, let me think about that. So yeah, it's like I didn't move to town to go and leave Nashville to go to be in North Dakota for 2 weeks. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of, there was a lot of that too, right? So yeah, that was my first like experience there. I didn't do the gig, so I said, yeah, I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna keep plodding along, and met a lot of really cool people along the way, man. And it's just, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about, like, it could be hours me telling stories, which would bore everyone to death, obviously, but yeah, it's a very similar story, everybody that moves to town, you kind of do the same.
Everybody, it's funny because so many, the stories are a lot the same, but every one of them is different too, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Everybody's got the struggles, but everybody figures it out in a little different way, which kind of leads me. It looks like that, you said you moved to 2021. It looks like in 2005, you had a little thing with Sony Nashville for a little bit, as you were talking about the levies. That was you and
Derek.
Derek. So that was you guys, right?
Yeah, that was us. The band that actually. So I was in a band. Well, we got a record deal on Sony, and it wasn't the Levies. The Levies came from that band, but there's a songwriter in town. His name is John Stone. Great songwriter, great dude. He's in a band called American Young. He's written some stuff for Rascal Flatts. Got several different cuts, and I met him. It was like a mutual meeting. Somebody said, "Hey, man, this guy John Stone's putting together a band, and he's got interest at a label." So I went and met him, and I basically brought my guys. I brought the band to John. So it was me and Derek Mixon on drums and Dan Cohen on guitar. And we had been playing together in another kind of group we put together called Swamp Rat. And it was just a fun thing we put together. It's really cool stuff, man. It was like we did some instrumental stuff. And man, Dan Cohen, he is one of the best guitar players in this town that if you don't know him, oh my gosh, he's incredible. But he, if you know him, you're like, yeah, Dan's pretty crazy, man. He's amazing. And he could do all this cool, wacky chicken picking stuff and tapping and behind the neck. And he could sit there on an acoustic guitar and just make you cry. It's so beautiful. But yeah, we got together and we basically formed this band and with John, and we rehearsed like, I guess it was about a year and a half. We would go to John's place in he lived in Brentwood area, and not quite Brentwood. It was south of what's that school? Green Hills. Sorry, he was in Green Hills. So we'd go and we would rehearse like 4 or 5 days a week, and we were writing songs, we were rehearsing, we were getting tight, we were doing a band thing, and we went. After all this stuff, we went to Exit In for a showcase, and we did the showcase, and we got signed on Sony, and we started making a record. We had a couple of different producers. Greg Archilla produced some stuff with us. Greg's a killer guy, killer producer. He does a lot of rock stuff. He's from Atlanta, and then we did some stuff with Don Gaiman, and which was going to be basically the record was with Don. Don has he's a producer that's worked with he did Hootie the Blowfish, Darius Rucker. He did like Wave on Wave, the stuff there. I can't think of the guy's name. I got brain fog. Pat Green, thank you. And Tracy Chapman too. He produced John Mellencamp. He did a lot of this cool stuff. So for me, at that time, I was like, man, I'm working with this huge producer. It was awesome. And we basically did almost a whole record. And during that time too, I was doing a lot of session work. I was doing a lot of publishing demos and stuff like that, and playing on some people's stuff, which honestly, that was really my whole goal when moving to Nashville. Is, like I said earlier, I wanted to play on records, so I got to doing a lot of that stuff, which was really cool. And we made the record, and it was during the time when labels were as they are now. The industry's changed so much because of streaming. Streaming was starting to happen. That was like the time of Napster. Mars and Napster and all that stuff.
It was just stealing then.
Stealing then, yeah, for sure. But yeah, so what happened with the band is basically, they went we were on Sony, they went in and, cleaned house. That's what we call it. They fired everybody there and let go of a bunch of artists. Of course, we were low on the totem pole, so we got let go. We didn't even get a chance to get a single out or anything. So after that, John kind of went and he started to do his own songwriting thing. And so Dan and Derek and I, we created a band called the Levies with another buddy of ours that was from Monroe, and it was kind of, honestly, the music was a little bit more what I kind of wanted to do. It was definitely country, but it had a lot more swampy soul to it. You know, we call it like a roots rock swamp soul country band. Yeah. And we
You're in this genre.
yeah, in this genre. But no, if you listen to it, you're like, everyone could say when they listen to it, they hear a little bit of it, they're like, yeah, that sounds like Louisiana. And that was our goal, is we wanted it to be Louisiana. And I think we accomplished the goal. And that's, the name, the Levies, we kind of took that from, what's very common in Louisiana is levees, right? So we made this record in my basement and borrowed a bunch of gear. And that also started my whole other career path as producer, engineer, so to speak. And yeah, man, we made that record, and we had a lot of interest, and man, it was just a fun time, really fun time. And it was during that whole process that I got hooked up with Luke, and Derek got hooked up with Chris. And I'll back up a little bit. While we were rehearsing with Stone at John Stone's house, John Stone's roommate was Chris. Chris Stapleton was his roommate. So we'd see Chris all the time. He'd just come in and out, get his mail. Chris is quiet, right? He'd just like, what's up, and walk in, walk out. This is before Chris became Chris, right? But he was still the same guy, still amazing. So he was just writing songs all the time. He just constantly was writing stuff. So yeah, man, it was kind of a cool, few years of all that time. We were around, Jared Neiman and Jamie Johnson and all these cats were all in the same, vibe together, because we would do demos and he would sing on this and do that. And so it was kind of neat. It was a fun time. Nobody had really landed on anything yet. Those guys had some publishing deals and stuff, but they weren't who they are now. And then from there, just everything kind of blossomed. But, like I said, I wasn't trying to be an artist, so to speak. I just wanted to be a band guy. So that's whenever after that happened, I played with Steve Wariner, played with different people along the way. But, I eventually landed with Luke, which kept me for 12 years. So that's kind of how that all started, was from that whole thing.
So just real quick, the progression, you went on the road with Steve Wariner first, and then
yeah,
there was a couple of stops between, Luke, wasn't it?
Yeah. After the Levies, I played with Jed Hughes. I don't know if you know Jed. Jed's amazing. He's a cat from Australia, and that guy can play guitar and sing. He's amazing. And he was on, I think at the time, what was his label? It was the same one as, I'll think of it in a second. But, he's from, like I said, he's from Australia, and it was Keith Urban, whatever label he was on, and somebody will chime in real quick. But yeah, we played with him, and during that time too, we created another band that was basically Jed Hughes's band. And all the same time, it was me and Derek mixing on drums, and Ryan Wariner, which is Steve Warner's son. Ryan is an unbelievable guitar player himself, man, and human being. This guy can play anything. If he picks up his guitar and you just say, hey, play some Billy Gibbons, he'll play it and it sounds just like Billy Gibbons. Or play some Pete Townsend, he'll play it. It's like, oh my gosh, you close your eyes, you're thinking you're hearing whoever it is. This guy is a student of the guitar. So we had this band with Jed, and we had this side project called Sweet Eastern Saint, which was like a mixture of the Black Crowes and Led Zeppelin. It was awesome, and it was not country, but it was awesome, man. It was just another whole, iteration of the same guys doing all these different things. Like, it's so funny, man. Like, go backtrack a little bit. Like, me and Derek mixing on drums, we played with Tracy Byrd together, along with Dan Cohen, the guy that was with Stone with the Levies. We played it with Tracy Byrd. We toured with him, and so we were doing all this, really cool, whatever Tracy Byrd does, and we learned how to do some really cool, Western swing. That's for sure. Like this guy was legit. Tracy Byrd, that was a big learning experience for me, for sure. I really enjoyed that. So I'm sitting here forgetting all this stuff. It's like if I was to look at the timeline, I mean, like, okay, here to here to here to here to here to here. But man, it's just pretty crazy how things just kind of intertwine. And you play with this person, and let's do this side project. We'll do this, and that's kind of how it went, man. We were just trying to do all kinds of different things, and then seeing what would take. Not necessarily that wasn't the vibe, but we just got into this thing. We would do this, and okay, this took us here to this other band. This took us to this other band, and like, oh, cool, there's a gig over here. Let's do this gig. It's just pretty fun how it all happens.
So going back to asking advice for the up and comers and all of that is, obviously there's only a handful of those major tour gigs out there. So, they're pretty competitive, I'm assuming. Only so many to go around. What advice would you give guys that are they think they want to go on the road and play in front of these awesome people? What advice would you give to them in trying to land a gig like that?
Man, I mean, I think, anybody can you just have to be, first of all, you have to know your craft, right? You got to be able to do the gig, and that's pretty much a given, obviously. But the main thing is, just like anything in life, just be a good person. That goes so far in life. Just be a good person. Be a person that somebody wants to be around. You're going to be, if you want to do a road gig, you obviously know that you're going to be on a bus or maybe a van and trailer for a while or whatever, but you're going to be around people pretty close proximity, right? Pretty close quarters. So you're going to have this brotherhood mentality, and just put your ego down. Your ego means nothing. You just be a good person, man. It's like, go out and have a good time, play music, help each other out, and try to be a giving person. That's the main thing. Is like everybody wants to be, look at me, look at me, look at me. And that's been around for a long time, and it seems like some of the younger generations too are a lot into the what can I do to get attention kind of thing, and that's what social media has done. Obviously, everybody wants to be a YouTube sensation or a TikTok star or whatever, and I get all that. That's fine, but at the end of the day, just make sure you're a good person and you're doing things for the right reason. And as far as advice, to get a gig, it's all about meeting people. You just have to be out there and be available. You got to get out there and be willing to hang around and meet people and genuinely get to know them. Don't go out there looking for what can you do for me kind of mentality, because, man, people see right through that, right? You can tell when somebody's out there to take, or, I'm only here for me. It's like, man, let me see what we can do along the way. Let's work together. I love collaborating with people, whether it's songwriting, playing music, just whatever. It's all about, let's do something fun together, and be a listener too. Don't try to be a dominating force, right? You don't have to always be right. You don't always have to be correct. Just be like, that's cool. I don't have to be, I don't have to get the last word. I don't have to be the person that my way or the highway. No, not at all. And it all goes back to, especially in music, you're trying to serve the song. It's all about the song. Everything is about the song. I don't care what you do, man. It's about the music you're doing and the song. What are you trying to say? Because, yeah, you can play a bunch of notes and a bunch of licks and all that stuff, but does it make people feel good? Does it make people want to listen and want more? It's like reading a book, right? When you're reading a good book whenever you just have a hard time putting it down. You know what I mean? You're like, I know I need to go to bed, but gosh, this is so good. You're like, okay, 12:30. That's what a song needs to do. It needs to be to where people want more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I know it might sound a little silly, but that's really the truth,
Well, being on a stage like that, obviously, something that very few people, a small percentage of people will ever get to experience playing those huge shows and all of that. And I mean, if I ask you what the feeling, everybody would say it's an amazing experience and all that, I'm sure. But is there a couple of artists that you shared the stage with, or maybe a couple of particular shows that you were like, this is pretty dang cool right here?
Yeah, I will say, man, Ronnie, there was a couple of those times. So with Luke, whenever he started doing the headlining tours, I guess it was before then. We were out with Jason Aldean. I remember things were starting to really get big, and we were Jason's support for, I think, 2 tours or 2 years at least. And that was some really fun times. And the crowds just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And when Luke started doing his tour, it was like, wow, now Luke's the headliner, and now we're, going on at 9:30 and, doing the whole 90-minute show. And I remember this time, I can't remember which stadium it was, but it was a stadium tour. It's whenever he was like, we're doing stadiums. So, I mean, literally, like, to go and play Gillette Stadium and the stadium in Dallas. And, man, whenever there would be a time in the show where, he'd have everybody light up their phones. Back in the day, no one remembers this, obviously younger than us, but, everyone had lighters. Well, now it's, light up your cell phone. And I've got some really cool photos, and I got a couple in my studio here. And the whole, the whole stadium's lit up with these cell phones. And I'm on stage, and I'm just like so minuscule, so small. And I'm sitting there looking. It brought tears to my eyes. It's overwhelming joy is what it was, and gratitude. I'm going, man, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this. This is so cool. And then I realized how much power you have, being on stage. You have the power. People want to be entertained. They want to feel good. That's what everybody wants to feel good. That's the bottom line. People want to leave feeling good. That's it. If you make someone feel good, you've accomplished the goal. When people leave smiling, going, man, I had such a great time. So I got to where when I was on stage, I would look down on the audience who was around me, and I would try to pick out somebody that maybe looked like they weren't having a good time, or someone who maybe felt like they weren't feeling well. I don't know. I would just kind of like try to hone in on some kind of vibe like that, and make it a point to go up to them and give them attention, or smile, or throw them a pic, or something like that. And then you could see their mood change. You could see their eyeballs just go like from, oh, wow, it's cool. It's really cool, and I wasn't doing that for me. I was doing that because I'm like, I wanted that person to have a great time. I wanted them to leave going, feeling special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that to me was what I got out of it. And after all the thousands of gigs over the years and doing this over and over, it was like, man, it became a thing where I just wanted people to feel good and just go, man, oh yeah, I left that show just feeling like a different person, kind of thing, me and that person, or whoever it was,
I like that, man, because there's too many hurting people in the world. And if you can get them away from what's going on in their life for 90 minutes or whatever, like, that's a nice little escape for them. And you never know what people are going through.
That's right, man. That's right. People go through things in their life that you're going to go through, ups and downs. You're going to go through losing loved ones, losing family. I dealt with losing family while I was on the road. I lost my father while I was touring, and I had to navigate that whole situation too, going and leaving and going to go see him. And, it was, that's something I had to go through and learn. But the way I looked at it was, everybody in this life goes through that. I'm no different. I'm not special in that. Everyone has to go through it. Don't think that the life, the world doesn't revolve around you as a person. Everybody's in this world together. But yeah, this is your life. This is your one life, obviously. But what can you do to make somebody feel better? What can you make something better? And that's the way I tried to go about it, and it just, I guess it keeps you grounded. It keeps you, more humble. Not everybody can, I don't know, but I just know that no matter what, there's always going to be another bass player that can do what I do. It's fine. I get all that, There's only one me. There's only one you. And just that's what you got to remember. It's like there's only one of you. So what can you do to make people feel better? And whether they remember you or not, that's great. That's not why I do it. But yeah, man, it's you just have to enjoy it while you can, is what I'm really getting at. Enjoy everything while you can, and just try to make everyone else enjoy it along with you.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity too, man, to make somebody's day a little bit better. What an opportunity to be able to do that, and especially in your position as a musician and all of that, you have a very unique opportunity to make somebody's day, something that they might remember for years.
For sure. Yeah, man. Yeah. I still get, texts and emails or just, or a little something on a page like, oh, you remember that show so-and-so, you threw me a pic, and like, I don't remember it, but they do. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't remember that unless it was something really crazy and special, but that's what I'm talking about there, man. But
yeah.
And then the other thing is, yeah, man, there was some cool stuff, getting to play with Lionel Richie, the TV stuff we've done, the award shows, getting to meet all these artists that, as growing up, I was looking up to, and like, oh, there they are right there, right over there. There's Kiss. Crazy. There was, I was in the room with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. They were in their makeup. And I'm like, got my picture with them. It's like, dang, this is cool. I would never have got to do that if I wasn't doing this. So, I'm very grateful for it. But man, yeah, it's really, really cool to get to do this stuff.
That's awesome, man. And I'm gonna let you out of here in a minute because I don't want your wife to kill me. She's gonna be like, he kept you all night. But I do want to talk a minute about your production work, because I don't want to. Everybody probably talks about the touring and all of that, but I want to give you a minute to talk about what you're doing. I see Studio on the Ridge is your place. What made you love to do all of that, and what took you to production? Obviously, I'm guessing that you're going back to college, you learning all of those different instruments really helps you in the studio. But what is that? What made you want to do all of that?
Man, well, I've always loved the actual production part of stuff, and I guess I'm they say that we're right brain, left brain. You have the creative side, and you also have the technical side of people are either one or the other. But I'm pretty much both. So I really love doing both. My wife just gave me a okay. My wife, she's looking up for me. Anyway,
is she saying tell his ass to hurry up?
She's like, quit doing all this, quit tweaking around. But I'm talking with my hands. But I'm sorry, yeah. But so yeah, no, I love production, and just it's almost as fun for me. Even if I don't play, I'm I do a lot of mixing and a lot of the grunt work, like editing stuff and editing vocals and editing stuff and making it better. I love doing that. I'm a little weird. I'm that kind of person. I'll hear something and go, man, I can make that better. Now, I'm not talking about taking something and taking the life out of it. And you know how you can do that where they're like, take something that's not natural. I'm all about, making things that are there. It's all about the performance, right? But yeah, I really enjoyed. I started doing that in college. I got a mixing console and that I borrowed from somebody, a local guy, and I got a pair of ADATs, which was the thing that you could record on before Pro Tools. Really, it was the digital tape machines, and I started recording people. And man, I had a knack for it, the ear, and I just loved doing it. So my whole goal too, throughout this whole process, was to eventually, when I got off the road like I am now, was to start doing just production work and recording. And that's why all the gear that I have now is just, over years of accumulating it. And so, yeah, man, basically what I'm doing now is I'm if I'm not doing a session where I'm playing bass, not just here, but everywhere in town. But yeah, I record. I have a full tracking studio. I got a drum room. I've got 24 tracks. You can come in here. Got all the guitars you want, the drum kit, everything. You just show up and we record. So I guess I probably do about 4 sessions a month here with whomever comes, and I'll go out and do things during the week, at other studios and stuff like that. So I got a good handful of artists that come to me for songwriting, demos and stuff like that. And then nowadays people are doing a lot of singles. I wouldn't say I do a whole lot of demos anymore, because nowadays pretty much you can do your demo on your own. Most people are recording stuff to put out. So when I record, I basically treat it as a master. So basically do a lot of that. So yeah, it's keeping me busy. And hey, if anybody wants to record, I mean, I'm not too busy. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you open to work with some of the up and coming Louisiana artists that might watch this?
Man, I love it. I've got some young people that have hit me up that are from the area back home that I've been working with. They just hit me up, and it's kind of funny because some people they'll call me or text me and they're like, "Hey man, I don't want to bother you. I know you're probably too busy." I'm like, "No, man, this is what I do." I mean, it's like, I don't care who you are, unless you're, Mick Jagger or whatever. People like to do stuff. They like to work. You're not. I can tell you right now, I'm not too busy to where I'm not, open to working with anybody. If I may be busy for a week or two, that's cool. Let's talk about it. So yeah, I would love to hear anybody that wants to do any kind of recording or needs a little help on their music or just wants to put some stuff out, man. Come see me. I'm all into it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Before we get out, I did just something it's interesting, man. I think a lot of people don't always think about it, especially just kind of casual fans of music. But there's a difference between being a session player and a live player. And, you're doing both at a high level. What are some of those differences for the casual fans out there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you kind of start out obviously as being able to play live and learning how to play like that. But there's a different skill set when it comes to recording, as far as being a player. People don't realize. And nowadays, a lot of the session players are playing some more live stuff because of, the way the industry's going, just to stay busy, obviously. But yeah, there's a skill set that you have to be a studio player. You have to learn certain things. You can play live, right? Say you go and you play something and you can just jam on a solo if you're a guitar player, and you can get away with a lot of overplaying and things like that live, because you're performing. You're up there to entertain as well as not. It's not just about the music. It's about the whole entertainment spectrum. But when you're in the studio, no one's looking at you. It's all about what you produce musically. So the job, like I kept saying earlier, it's about the song. So you have to serve the song. What's best for the song? So a good example too that I will tell people: if you're a singer-songwriter and you're used to playing acoustic guitar and you're accompanying yourself, right? That's what most people do. Well, a lot of those people will come in here to record and they're like, "Hey, I'll just play acoustic." I'm like, "Okay, all right." I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Well, you and I both know that you get in there, you can't just do the whole singer-songwriter thing and try to record acoustic, because you're going to be playing a lot more. When you're playing by yourself and singing, you're trying to be the acoustic player and the percussion player and the drummer at the same time, right? Well, when you're trying to record acoustic guitar, you just need to be an acoustic guitar player. So it's a big learning experience for, like, oh, I'm overplaying. Like, oh, there's all these little nuances of things, and tuning is a big thing, note duration, and so yeah, there's a skill set that you have to be alerted to whenever you want to go into the studio. And if you're lucky, you're going to have people that'll kind of help you out and go, "Hey man, check this out. Try not to do this," as opposed to going in the studio thinking you could do this and somebody going, "Yeah, man, it's not good." You may have that too, So luckily, if you have somebody who's nice that can kind of help coach you along the way. But yeah, and the thing about the studio too, as you know, it's time is money, man. It's, there's a budget there, and you have a certain amount of time to go in and record. And if you're not capable of getting that done, you're costing money, time. So yeah, it's you have to learn, man. You have to learn.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I got four quick hit questions for you to get us out of here. And then,
Right.
since we're talking Louisiana, you just got to say whichever one comes to your mind. It's an either or. So, shrimp or crawfish?
Crawfish.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Gumbo or jambalaya?
Oh, gumbo.
Do you like the seafood or the chicken andouille?
I do chicken sausage all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I make it all, dude. If you do a session here, you're likely to get some gumbo or some jambalaya. I'll say that.
me and Alex might have to come out. King cake or beignet?
Well, let's do a king cake, man. I mean, you're gonna have a beignet all the time, but a king cake's, now we got a king cake in the kitchen right now.
and then,
so Hannah, bring me a piece of king cake.
And then lastly, is there one Louisiana product that you're just like, man, I gotta have this at all times?
Well, you can't go without Tony's, man. You gotta have Tony's. You gotta have that seasoning. I mean, if you don't have, at least you gotta have that. So, yeah, you gotta have some of that Creole seasoning.
That's right, man. Well, how can artists, if there is an artist out there watching this, how can they get in touch with you? Is there go through your website? Is that the best thing? Or
yeah, I'm like this older lazy guy with my website. I've just been so lazy with it because most of my stuff is like word of mouth. So if you want to, you can go to jamescookbass.com and you can shoot me a message there, or just go to my socials, which everything. Instagram is James Cook Bass. Instagram James Cook Bass. On my Facebook as well. Shoot me a message there, man. Or my email is jamescookbass@gmail.com. Pretty easy. I did that years ago, James Cook Bass. I thought that was pretty easy. And then everywhere I go, when I tell people my email address, if they're not a musician, they're like, James Cook Bass. I'm like, all right,
close enough.
Close enough.
Well, man, I appreciate you. Like I said, I hope your wife doesn't kill me for keeping you too late on a Tuesday night, but I enjoyed it, man. I could have went for another hour with you, just listening to stories, and I appreciate it. But
yeah, man.
Hope to see you here in Nashville soon. We're gonna be doing our Mardi Gras takeover thing at that Monday night at Whiskey Jam, and then that Tuesday night, Fat Tuesday at the local. And if you're in town, man, we'd love for you to come hang.
Yeah, let's do that. I think I'm gonna be in town, so. My wife's listening, so she's going to put it in the calendar right now. So
put it on that calendar.
Yeah.
Karen says, enjoyed it, guys. Thank you, Karen. She's a regular. She tunes in every week. So thank you, Karen, thank you for supporting Louisiana country music, musicians, and artists. Thank you as always.
Karen Delkin.
That's it. Well, brother, I appreciate it, man, and I will see you soon.
All right, Ronnie. Thank you, man. Do it again, man.
All right, Dan.
Keep it up.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight. Man, we get some awesome guests. We're so blessed here to get to hang out and talk to these guys and hear these stories and talk about Louisiana. What a fun thing to do on Tuesday night. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, tune in every Tuesday night at 7. Again, follow, like, share, comment, do all those things to help us show the world what Louisiana country music and our musicians and our artists and our writers, what they're all about. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless all our Louisiana folks out there. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay warm because it's about to get cold on us. We'll see you next Tuesday night right here on Louisiana Country Music Live.